So I want to talk about politics, but I'm asking you not to scroll away, especially if you think that we think differently, because I definitely think that as human beings and as Americans, we have way more in common than we don't. And I just want to remind each other of that. But this is about undocumented immigrants. And, unless you are entirely of Native American descent or your ancestors were brought here through slavery, then you and I are in this country because at some point an immigrant in our family came to the U.S. We can agree on that, right? I also want to remind us that an American value is that we fight for the rights of every person in our country, even if they're undocumented, because that's what separates America from a lot of countries. We have these ideals and these standards that we're supposed to follow, and we're not right now. And it's just not, a lot of stuff that is happening seems very anti-American. What else? For people who are maybe feeling self-righteous about, well, why aren't people coming over legally? I want to ask, how do any of us know that our ancestors all came here legally, did everything by the book? Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't do things legally, but, and I'm not trying to be funny here, but we all know our families. Come on, somebody at some point cut some corners. But also, we don't make it easy. It's expensive, it takes years. And again, not saying you shouldn't do things legally, but we could understand through empathy how people might do desperate things when they're in a bad situation, especially if you are trying to protect your family, especially if you have children. You would do anything for your kids. If you're still on the fence about how we're doing things right now, and if you have any females in your life, forget about undocumented immigrants for a second. Ask a female in your life, what would it feel like to be grabbed off the street by masked men who you don't know are with law enforcement? Because honestly, how do we know that? It's a terrifying thought. It's terrifying for men too, but especially as a female. At least we can have empathy to say, like, why are we doing this to people? Again, not an American value to grab people off the street. I just want us all to remember our humanity in these times and just literally how you're supposed to treat human beings. Now, even if you're saying, well, what if they're criminals? Okay, but that's another American value. We're supposed to then have due process where people go to court and, okay, obviously I don't know all of the ins and outs of due process, but it's not what we're doing right now. We need a humane solution. We need leaders who, instead of complaining about everything and just stoking fear, come up with a humane solution. Most of the people in our country who are undocumented are good people. Just like any group, stereotypes are dangerous. A majority of any group is not bad. As a small percentage of each group have bad people? Of course. Small percentage of white females are bad people, not the majority of us. Also, we're arresting people at work and at their immigration hearings. So are we arresting the bad people? I wasn't aware that gang members were trying to do the right thing. And they're showing up at their 9-to-5s and they're showing up at immigration hearings. Not saying none of them could be, but so we're arresting people when they're doing the right thing. So at least then say we're arresting everyone and not just the criminals. What else? Last, I just want to say, most of us come from, well, not most, a lot of us do in this country. We come from military families. What's happening right now, this isn't what they fought for. Again, thank you for watching, and I appreciate it, especially if we think differently from each other, but we can work together, the American public, and we do. I'm going to make another video about that.